Well, welcome back. Good to be back with you this morning. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. This is what I call my morning musings, and I'm enjoying my third cup of coffee here, and I'm currently responding to an article by Dr. William Lane Craig, who is, as most of you I'm sure are familiar, a very noted Christian apologist. He decided to take on the issue of preterism, particularly the form of preterism held to by N.T. Wright, R.T. France, McKnight, and a host of other scholars. And he gives us basically three reasons why he believes that view is incorrect. Now, obviously, he would reject the full preterist, the true preterist view of eschatology. As a matter of fact, his final point addresses that specifically. But we've looked at his first objection, and that is what he calls the perspectival argument, and that is the promise of the return of Christ must be seen from the perspective of those to whom the promise was given. Well, this is actually quite fatal, as we have pointed out to Doctor's view. His second objection to the preterist view is, I must confess, when I read it, I was quite stunned with how ill-informed the charge, the accusation really is. Because either Dr. Craig does not understand preterism, or he's just simply making a false charge. And I certainly do not want to ascribe that to him. But he says, the second point I want to make by way of critique is that the Son of Man doesn't have to wait around until AD 70 to be enthroned. On this view, that is preterism, the coming of the Son of Man takes place in AD 70. But in between Jesus' death in AD 30 and 40 years later with the destruction of Jerusalem, I guess he's sort of waiting around until the Son of Man is given dominion and authority and everything. And it seems to me that's not correct. Well, with all due respect to Dr. Craig, that is a gross misunderstanding of the preterist view. I'm not aware of any preterists who deny, for instance, Matthew chapter 28:18, Jesus said, all authority, Greek word exousia, has been given unto me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and teach. I do not know of any preterist who deny that at his ascension, Christ was seated at the right hand of the throne of the Father of the majesty on high in fulfillment of Psalms 110. By the way, Psalms 110 is cited, according to different authorities, as many as 32 times in the New Testament to speak of Christ's enthronement at the right hand. I don't know of any preterists that deny that. You know, I must confess I'm just almost speechless. Dr. Craig appeals to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where Paul says he must reign, which is in the present infinitive in the Greek, which indicates he was, at the time Paul wrote, ruling and reigning. And it's simply undeniable. But again, I don't know of any preterists who deny that. So Dr. William Lane Craig's objection in regard to whether or not Christ was ruling from the time of his ascension until the time of his parousia is simply a misguided and false accusation. To reiterate, I don't know of any preterist who deny that Jesus was sitting at the right hand of the majesty from the time of his ascension onward. The question is, what was taking place during that period of time enthroned at the right hand, and what would take place at his parousia? This is really the critical issue. But for Dr. William Lane Craig to say, to imply that preterists do not believe that Christ was ruling and reigning from the time of his ascension until his parousia is a false accusation. It is at the very, very best an uninformed accusation, and Dr. Craig, with all due respect, should have done his homework before making that kind of a false accusation. Jesus wasn't just sort of kind of hanging out in heaven during the interim period. The question needs to be asked, what does Dr. William Lane Craig believe happens with Christ and the kingdom at his parousia, which Dr. Craig puts at the future? Does he believe, like so many, that Christ will cease to reign? Or does he believe that having put down his enemies, he would enter fully into his reign? That is the crux of the matter, and that is what we will pursue on the flip side. In the meantime, you need a copy of my book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory. In this book, I discuss the nature of the parousia and this interim reign of Christ until his parousia. Go to my website, eschatology.org, BibleProphecy.com. Order the book. By the way, thanks for those who have been ordering it. Mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. You really, really need a copy of this book. It will dispel so many of Dr. Craig's objections, pardon me, and put the parousia in its proper perspective. Get a copy of this book today. In the meantime, we'll see you on the flip side.